Did you hear that?
Hey everybody, this is James. I've got the put together the evidence, the EVPs and video evidence from the Fleetwood, Oklahoma investigation. First of all, let me say when we went there, the intention was get there kind of early so we could walk around and look at some stuff, walk around outside the building. That's the way I always like to do it, is get there in daylight so you can see what all's going on. You can see if there's stuff hanging off the roof, or what wind might be blowing and stuff like that. But when we saw it, we had never seen Fleetwood, Oklahoma before. It's a ghost town. It was I think pretty much everything shut down about 1961. Back at the turn of the 20th century, it was kind of this. It was always a small town. It was an unincorporated community. It did have the post office there, which also doubled as a general store and probably several other things. But it was always an unincorporated town. And at its height, it had the post office general store thing. It had a school that also doubled as a church. It had a cotton gin and a blacksmith shop and stuff like that. Basically, the turn of the 20th century equivalent of a place like Seabrook, Colorado, where it's a little bitty town, but they've got this big travel center, where like 287 and Highway 10 meet. We've also got one near here called Jolly. There's probably not 30 people that actually live in Jolly, but they got this big travel center. And that's kind of what this was. Fleetwood was kind of the equivalent of a big travel center. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot left. They do have the marker and the post office / general store / a lot of other stuff, probably. It was actually still in fairly decent shape, all things considered. The schoolhouse was basically just rubble, and that was it. There is a cemetery out there supposedly, but we didn't really know which way we were even supposed to go to get to it. Pretty thick with thorns and trees and stuff, and so we just decided, well, we're not even sure which direction to walk, and we just kind of, and we might not find nothing once we get there. So it ended up kind of being a daytime investigation. The videos I put up, I wanted to do them in HD. That's why I split it into two parts. But it just reminded me of why I don't put videos up in HD, because it just takes way too long to upload with the crap internet we have here, and I've been having trouble with my computer, and so it just, after like 3 hours, I was only at 30% upload, so I'm just going to have to forget about the HD. But for me, it was an interesting investigation, even though it basically boiled down to everything happening in this one corner of one building. That was kind of a throwback for me. Just getting a lot of hits on the K2. You could kind of feel stuff happening. You could kind of feel them trying to draw energy out of there, because of course there's no electricity there. But it was an interesting investigation. As an investigator, I don't know how great of a video it made, but it was cool for us anyway. Okay, normally what I do is I'll play the clip, and then I'll come back to kind of let you see it without telling you what's going on. That's what I've been doing here lately. And then I'll play it again with the part I'm talking about highlighted. Okay, again, this one happens in that corner. That's where most of our activity came from, was that one, I guess it would be the southeast corner of that building during the K2, when we're getting hits on the K2. It's very faint. You're definitely going to need headphones to hear this. So let's go ahead and play the clip in its entirety first. Is this Jim and Jessica that we're talking to?
You read it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Now we had just asked if it was Jim and Jessica. Of course, you'll see we heard something. We turned and looked toward the back of we heard something toward the back of the building. There seems to be something that barely picked up right after we asked if it was Jim and Jessica. Is this Jim and Jessica that we're talking to?
You read it?
Yeah, I did. I say it's not very loud at all, but we seem to get a little bit of something there. We did get a lot of names while we were there. I mean, it was, I don't even remember, there was like, 6 or 7 names that came up while we were there. Alright, this next one, if you watch the video, I'm sure you heard this one. This one's kind of hard to miss, but we'll go ahead and play this one. Did you hit somebody in the side?
Hey, I keep hearing that.
I do too. Eric, is that you? It went up to red twice.
We came up, once we got the name Eric. Eric seemed to be, I almost get the feeling that Eric was there and didn't want anybody to know he was there, and the rest of them outed him. And once we came up with the name Eric, he was fairly active. It seemed like he was started getting a lot of hits on the K2, and we kept picking up this. Amy had been outside, and she had come back in, and I don't remember now if I heard it before. Maybe I heard it, I just didn't pay any attention to it. But Amy heard this name a couple of times, or heard this sound a couple of times before. This was loud and clear. This was some kind of cracking going on back behind us. And like I say, I'm sure you picked up on it, but we'll go ahead and play the clip with the 3 times highlighted. Did you hit somebody in the side?
Hey, I keep hearing that.
I do too.
Okay, this next one, there's actually, I'm trying to decide how to do this. There's actually 2 different ones in this same clip. So let me go ahead and play this one first. I may have to do this one in 2 separate deals. We'll go ahead and play the clip first. We have these things that can record your voice. We may not hear it, but just as loud as you can, say your name.
What is that?
I heard something.
Didn't sound like the owl this time.
No. Okay, right before we were going to leave, I asked just any one of them, because like I said, we were getting names like Jim, Jessica, Eric, Taylor. I don't even remember all the names now, but 5 men names and 1 woman name. I can't remember all the names now, but right before we left, I just asked them, said you can build up as much energy as you can, say your name as loud as you can. And it's kind of hard to tell if this is all one thing that just started off a little bit loud and then got really faint, or if this is 2 separate things. But we get some kind of noise right after I asked that. So let me go ahead and play this one to point out that sound. We have these things that can record your voice. We may not hear it, but just as loud as you can, say your name.
What is that?
Okay, it's kind of hard to tell if that's a voice, if that's some other kind of sound, but there's something there. And then it's followed by, and again, you're going to need headphones, it's followed by a very faint voice. Now, we heard what sounded like a male voice, and you'll see us react. You know, you saw us in the first clip, you saw us react and turn that way. I don't think we really picked up, maybe right there at the end it might be a male voice, but before that, the very faint part sounds a little more female to me. But we'll go ahead and play. This one's going to be a little bit longer. We have these things that can record your voice. We may not hear it, but just as loud as you can, say your name.
What is that? What is that? What is that? What is that? What is that?
Okay, so we seem to be picking up something there. Like I say, unfortunately, none of that came out where we could really pick up specific words or anything, but there just seemed to be something there. Now that was all video. I've got a couple of things here that picked up on the voice recorder. First, we'll just go ahead and I said there's a couple of things I'm just going to play. When we first got there, we could hear it as we were there. It really did not pick up on the video, the audio for the video, but I did get some of it on the voice recorder. And it sounded like one of those old telegraphs, like somebody was sending a telegraph. And this did pick up on the audio recorder. I'm just going to go ahead and play it and see if you can pick up on that sound. So you can kind of hear that sounds like a little bit of rattling. Now the wind was blowing some, but it wasn't blowing at that particular moment, and it certainly wasn't blowing enough to rattle anything on that table. And that's the only time it ever picked up. It went on for a little bit longer than that, but not much. The rest of the time we were there, we didn't pick up that sound again. So maybe there was an old telegraph in play there. I don't know. Now, like I say, when we first got there, our plan was kind of washed away. But when we first went into the old post office, and then we walked over to the schoolhouse. Well, the schoolhouse didn't really offer much up there. There's not hardly anything left of the old schoolhouse, and part of a wall is all that's still standing at the old schoolhouse. I left the voice recorder behind in the post office and just let it pick stuff up. And of course it's kind of tough to tell when you're not there to hear. There's all kinds of little bumps and stuff, and of course the wind would blow. There's some tin on the roof that would make some noise, and or had birds around. But there was this one part. This, I don't think, is the wind blowing anything. There may be a couple of these noises or some of the stuff on the roof, but this, to me, sounds like somebody moving around. We didn't hear anything like this at all the rest of the time we were there. We were there for a good while. And if you can listen very carefully in the background, it seems like maybe there's a little bit of music playing too. So like I say, this is about a 2-minute long clip. I'm just going to go ahead and play it. It's an audio clip, and we'll see what you think. Like I say, the wind would gust up the entire time we were there, and we didn't get anything like that before. You know, we weren't getting anything like that any other time. Like I say, there's something going on in the background, either some faint voices or some kind of music playing or something. But so I just wanted to play that clip from the voice recorder. Okay, after we came back from the schoolhouse and decided, you know, we were going to end up staying there, and started getting hits on the K2, and on Laney's device we were getting several words. At one point we got the word water. We'd offer you some water, but we don't have any. First, we don't really know what that might have meant, if they were wanting water or what it was, but just throwing it out there to try it, I said, well, we'd offer you some water if we had any, or whatever it is I said. And just right after it, there seems to be some kind of response. Can't really tell if it's just okay or if it's something else, but so we'll go ahead and play it again, and I'll highlight that part 3 times. We'd offer you some water, but we don't have any. I saved the best for last. Unfortunately, I apparently screwed up somewhere along the way. What I do is I break these down into little clips before, and then just put them all together. And apparently when I did the first part of this clip, the audio did not save the way it should have. So all I have ready to go, and so all I'm going to play is the part with the highlighted part 3 times. But what I did was, okay, right after we got back from the schoolhouse, I mean literally after we got back to the post office from the schoolhouse, and like I said, we just went in, picked everything up, and then we were going to go to the cemetery before we figured out that wasn't going to work. But right after we got back, like I say, our intentions were to just get everything and then leave and then come back later. Well, I'm kind of standing near that opening on the side, and you'll hear Laney say goodbye, and that's just saying goodbye because we're about to leave. And as she was saying that, I was kind of walking back toward that opening, and as she says goodbye, and I'm kind of walking toward the opening, we picked something up. And I'll just go ahead and say, since the first part of this clip screwed up, I'll just go ahead and play the one with the part highlighted 3 times, and it actually picks up fairly clear.
Goodbye.
You can't even see where we were from over here. Like I say, it sounds like a female voice saying "Don't go." So I don't know if that was to all of us, if that was to me because I was walking toward the door, or if it was to Lainey because she had said goodbye or whatever. But it sounds like a female saying "Don't go." And it kind of fits. That's kind of the feeling I got. I don't know how many people go to Fleetwood, Oklahoma, or have walked around there. Probably not many, since there's not much left there anymore. And maybe they were just glad to have somebody to talk to. I don't know. But it was a really interesting investigation. I'm sorry I stumbled through this because I'm kind of tired. And I kind of got, well, I'm just tired. But I wanted to go ahead and get this out. I was going to try and get it up last week before I went out of town for work. But I had to adult too much last week, and then plus I was about half sick. I don't know if me and Lainey both picked something up out there. I know she wasn't feeling well last week either. So, but yeah, I wasn't able. Excuse me, I wasn't able to get this up last week. But I want to go ahead and get it up now. Wish it flowed a little bit better, but hopefully you got something out of it. Hope you enjoyed it. Before I go, I also wanted to say that I've decided, because I need one more thing to keep up with, I decided to go ahead and start a Facebook page for A View from the Middle if you want to go check that out. There's not a whole lot there right now, but it's facebook.com/AVFTM. A View from the Middle. I'll be posting links to all the videos. I'm going to be putting some pictures up that you may or may not see in the videos, and also decided every Monday I'm going to post a video of the week from some other channel. I do a video of the day, but I don't want to commit to to doing something every day when I'm probably not going to be able to do it every day. Especially since I go out of town, 2 weekends a month. But yeah, go check that out. Like I said, there's not a whole lot there right now, but if you spend a lot of time on Facebook, if nothing else, you can see some neat pictures. So, all right, well, I hope you enjoyed this one. I'm not sure when the next paranormal thing is going to be. I'm not sure if Amy and Lainey are going to try and go with me or not. I am eventually. The next time I have to make a Dallas run, I'm going to try and go back to the Grove Hill Cemetery where the Von Erichs are buried and see if I can. So it wasn't even a paranormal video, and I picked up like 3 things there. I thought I'd go back and just to see if I pick something up. I don't know if they're going to be able to go with me or not, because that's going to have to be like in the middle of the day, in the middle of the week. And then I think Amy's wanting to go to Lawton. That would, if that works out, then that might be the next one. But other than that, like I say, you just have to wait and see when the next paranormal thing is going to come up. But I hope you enjoyed this one. If you're new, please like and subscribe. If you're old, a like will do. And I'll see you next time.